Hello, Anderson County community. Thank you for taking some of your time to join me in a conversation and a dialogue that I'd like to start with you surrounding our accountability system, our accountability model, as well as our performance and our results within that accountability system. Now that it's fully operational and we have all the pieces of the puzzle that we need at this point to relay objective and fair information to you folks, we want to make sure that you remain apprised. You are important to us, you're our stakeholders, and I want to make sure that you guys feel very comfortable with the system and knowing the ins and outs of it and being able to ask questions that you may have. And I have attached some contact information toward the end of a presentation that I've prepared for you so that you're welcome to contact me or our superintendent, Ms. Sheila Mitchell, here at the Board of Education. We'll be happy to answer any questions and try to provide additional insight into this new system and where we stand and where we're at and where we're going. So without further ado, if you'll jump right in with me, I'm going to go ahead and go into a presentation, and I have a voiceover so that I'll talk through that presentation so that you'll be able to understand the slides. And my goal is that you feel fully informed. And if you don't, again, don't hesitate to contact us. We're here to help. Thank you.
All right, folks, let's delve right in so that we can understand our data release process and get right to it. First, we want to start with an overview of what's to come. We have the Kentucky Accountability System that we're going to go over, and as brief a way as I possibly can. I'll try to explain it to everyone in terms that are understandable. We also will go into our school performance summary, so we'll look at each individual school's performance in our district. Following that, we will look at our aggregate district performance by level, or by school level, that is. Look at the summary of that. Then we'll look at the state and look at their performance by level. We'll also do a district to state comparison, or we'll go over that. And we'll focus on continuous improvement strategies moving forward. I'll highlight those for you. In addition, we will go over our accomplishments and successes from the prior school year as it pertains to our accountability system. We'll move on to our next slide. The overall accountability rating for each school has been assigned based on a 1 to 5 star rating. That 1 to 5 star rating indicates performance on several school level measures and indicators. And also, while not necessarily an indicator, if at least one significant achievement gap exists between eligible student groups in our schools, it can reduce a 4 or 5 star school by 1 star. So it's nice to know that up front. In addition, the school district is assigned overall ratings. That is plural. The school district does not receive a singular rating, but it receives 3 ratings of 1 to 5 stars based on performance of schools by level, that being elementary, middle, and high. Here, this graphic just basically displays our accountability system indicators for the 18-19 school year. If you look at the top, you'll see proficiency reading and mathematics. That applies to all school levels, as does separate academic indicator, and that's measured within science, social studies, and writing achievement. So those two span all levels, elementary, middle, and high. Growth is specific to elementary and middle, and it does include growth of our students identified as English learners. Now we delve into what is specific to the high school, and those indicators are transition readiness and graduation indicator. Here's a graphic that kind of details that same process. It just breaks it down a little further for you to see. You can see that in elementary grades that are tested, grades 3 through 8, proficiency is based on performance in reading and mathematics as assessed by our K-Prep assessment. In addition, we have our separate academic indicator. It's measured through the performance within science, social studies, and writing. Growth at elementary and middle is derived from reading and mathematics performance from one year to the next, and it also encompasses an English learners component, making sure that they are proficient as well. At the high school level, which encompasses grades 9 through 12, proficiency is measured by ACT subscores in reading and math. Separate academic is based on science and writing performance. Graduation rate's pretty self-explanatory. It's the number of students that enter their freshman year and they graduate on time. It's based on a rate calculation of that. In transition readiness, students attain transition readiness whenever they achieve their high school diploma, plus they meet criteria to be academic or career ready as detailed below in this section. There's a variety of ways students can attain transition readiness. This graphic shows the overall accountability weights assigned by the state to each performance indicator. You can see those performance indicators across the top, and they are broken down by level. And I know those numbers don't seem very round and nice and friendly for calculation purposes, but there's a reason for that. There's actually another indicator that's going to come into play next school year. I won't go into much detail about that, but then next school year, hopefully we'll see nice round numbers for our overall accountability weights. You can see in elementary and middle that most of the accountability weight is attributed to proficiency and growth, which are both tied to reading and mathematics performance. And a good portion of weight is attributed to separate academic. High school, on the other hand, most of the weight is weighted at the proficiency indicator. And next to that would be transition readiness. And next to that would be separate academic. And lastly, but certainly not least, is our graduation indicator with the least amount of weight. These are final indicator cut scores that were released by the state in mid to late September. You get a sense of the indicators along with their performance level descriptors. Those indicators span in description from very low to very high. And it is different by level. So you see the specific indicators in the second column, the levels in the first column, and the performance level descriptors with their assigned cut scores or ranges in the body of the table or the meat of the table there. The STAR cut scores were also released recently. These STAR cut scores are looking at the overall score that is derived from each of the indicator scores, and it has cut ranges as well associated by level. So you can see school levels over here in the left column, the respective STAR ratings across the top, and as they intersect here you can see, for instance, if it was a middle school with an overall score of 54, that would fall within a 2-star range. So that middle school would be considered a 2-star school. We're going to look at our individual school performance summaries at this point. We'll start off with at the elementary level that is, specifically with Emma B. Ward. Emma B. Ward achieved a 3-star status this year. It did not have any significant achievement gaps. Their overall score was 65.8. They also did not have any federal classification as a comprehensive school, comprehensive support and improvement school, or an additional targeted support and improvement school. So no schools want to be labeled with that. It means that they have a subgroup that's far underperforming, and it again is just something that schools do not want to have that label of. So I want to make sure I'm clear on that. If you look, their overall score, again, 65.8, corresponded to that 3-star status. Their proficiency indicator, separate academic indicator, and growth indicator scores that you see here below all translated into that overall score after their weights were taken into consideration. Next, we have Robert B. Turner Elementary School. It achieved a 3-star status as well. Their overall score was 70.4. Like Emma B. Ward, they had no significant achievement gaps, and they were not designated as a school in need of comprehensive support and improvement or additional targeted support and improvement. Their proficiency indicator, separate academic indicator, and growth indicator scores are listed here. Along, again, and I didn't say this on the previous slide with Emma B. Ward, but their performance level descriptor is also in parentheses next to each of their indicator scores. Next up, Saffel Street Elementary. It's also a 3-star elementary school. No significant achievement gaps detected. Their overall score was 60.3. They had no federal classification as a CSI or ATSI school, and their proficiency, separate academic, and growth indicators are listed below there. Next, we have our middle school, also a 3-star school. No significant achievement gaps. Their overall score was 62.1. They also were not federally classified as CSI or ATSI, and their proficiency, separate academic, and growth indicator scores are listed below there, along with their performance level descriptors. Our high school is also a 3-star school. No significant achievement gaps. Overall score of 70.4. There were no CSI or ATSI designation or classification to the high school. Again, that overall score of 70.4 is derived from multiple indicators as listed below there in the graphic. The indicator scores for each indicator is listed below, along with the performance level descriptor associated with those scores. This looks at our collective district performance by level. Districts are given 3 ratings, 1 at each level: an elementary rating, a middle rating, and a high rating. And as you can see based on the graphic, our district received 3-star status across the board for elementary, middle, and high. There were no significant achievement gaps detected across our district that could impact a star level rating or anything of that nature. Our overall scores for elementary was 65.5. For middle was 62, for high was 67.9. And again, good news to us, we have no CSI or ATSI schools. If you look at below, you can see by school level how the district performed within each indicator. So the district also has an indicator rating or score with a performance level descriptor associated with it. Okay, now we're going to look at the state's performance by level. The state of Kentucky received an elementary rating of 3, a middle school rating of 3, and a high school rating of 3, much like us. Their overall scores were 64.23 at the elementary level. Their middle school score was 62.64. Their high school score was 62.88. And their overall scores, their scores within each of their indicators are listed below there. In addition to the performance level descriptors that those scores fell at or within. Next, we have a breakdown of star ratings that Kentucky public school districts receive by level. And to explain this graphic just a little bit further, you'll see that, for instance, if we look at elementary, 4 school districts in Kentucky received an elementary rating at the 1-star level, or star rating of 1 star. And if you look at that percentage in comparison to the other ratings that that districts in the state had received, that comprises 2.3% of the ratings throughout the state that districts received. So moving over just a little bit more to that, next to it, you'll see that 34 school districts received elementary ratings of 2-star, which translates to about 19.7% of districts received 2-star ratings at the elementary level. And move across this graphic, you can kind of make sense of it. If you take a close look, you'll see that the grand majority of districts received 3-star ratings at each level. elementary, middle, and high. 107 received 3-star at the elementary level. 94 districts received 3-star at the middle level, and 94 districts received 3-star at the high school level. And those respective percentages are right next door in that graphic. Here is a district to state comparison by level. It just kind of lets you know how we stacked up in Anderson County Schools to the state and their performance. Again, I already mentioned that we received 3-star ratings across the board for each level. Such did the state as well. Our overall scores are listed in comparison to Kentucky's overall scores. And you can see that within 2 of the levels, elementary and high, we exceeded the state's performance. At the middle level, we were slightly below. And the table at the bottom details a little bit more information, delving more specifically into each of the indicators as they compare to one another, from the district level's performance at each school level to the state's indicator performance at each school level. And you can see whether or not we were above or below in each of those areas or indicators. For moving forward, we want to make sure that we emphasize a strong focus on proficiency, improving proficiency in each content area. What that means is that we want to increase the number of students that are scoring at the proficient or higher levels. We also want to decrease the number of students scoring at the novice level. We certainly want to focus on the opportunity for all students to rigorously engage in each and every content area, not just reading and mathematics, but science, social studies, writing, and every other content area that they have access to. We also, though we didn't have an significant achievement gap in any of our schools, which we're very proud of, we understand that we want to make sure we emphasize equity in our schools and making sure that every student gets what they need to be successful. So we want to make sure that that achievement gap narrows even further. And we take it upon ourselves to treat that very seriously in our school system. We want to make sure that there is no significant gaps between our subgroups of students that we look at. So ultimately, we want to increase performance of those lower performing student groups to get them up to levels of proficiency as well. As far as accomplishments and successes, we want to highlight some of those for you as well. 2 of our schools actually were very close to achieving a 4-star rating. It was so close within reach, within their grasp. There was one school that only had about 0.6 points away in their respective overall score, and they would have been bumped up to a 4-star rating. There was another school that was only 1.6 points away in their overall score to achieve that 4-star status. It is important to note that Emma B. Ward Elementary achieved high growth, and Robert B. Turner achieved very high in their separate academic indicator. ACHS, our high school, achieved high separate academic, and they had a very high graduation rate as well. No schools had significant achievement gaps, as I've emphasized earlier, and no schools were federally classified as comprehensive support and improvement school or an additional targeted support and improvement school. Again, if you have any questions, again, my name is Bobby Murphy. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Assessment. I'd be happy to try to help explain this in detail further for you. And my email address is listed on the screen, as well as my phone number here at the Board of Education.
Again, I'm grateful for your time. I hope that this presentation has helped you understand our accountability model, our performance results within that accountability model, and exactly where we stack up in comparison to the state. We have a very rigorous accountability model. It goes without saying that we're not complacent with a 3-star rating across the board, and we will work very hard and diligently to make sure that that star rating increases in years to come. We welcome your partnership. We know that we have several challenges ahead of us, and we know that together we can be successful. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.